My middle son, who is 10, he said, well, Mommy, you could just bring your laptop and then you'll have those 3 hours to work. It was like my stomach fell out my butt because I was like, I'm thinking about how to organize my family and he's thinking.
Still thinking you're working.
Yeah. And I looked at him in the eye and I was like, I will never work at hockey practice ever again. Never again. Because for me, there will never be another job that I have to do during hockey practice.
That is a very moving story.
Because the man can't pay me enough to give up hockey practice.
And you can't pay yourself enough to do it.
And I wasn't.
You will not.
Yeah.
And no matter how successful you may be,
and you're
going to set that boundary for yourself because it's what's important to you.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's like I woke up to it and I sold we were already in the process, but when I signed the contract a week later, I was like, never working at hockey practice
Never again.
That's it.
Never again.
Yep.
Walking down the street, thinking about her exit, breaking down the steps so every founder gets it. She's the exit whisperer, she's opening the door. It started with a whisper, now that whisper's gonna roar. She just sold her company, and here you get the real story. Shh, you could be next. Walking down the street, thinking about her exit.
Welcome back to another episode of The Exit Whisperer. I am your resident Exit Whisperer, Carrie Kirpin, founder of The Whisper Group, and I'm here to tell all the tales of exits, big and small, from your favorite female founders. This next guest is super interesting, okay? She bought a domain, essentially, in her local town and was able to turn it into a media company of hyper-local websites for moms. That's right. I'm talking about Meg Block from Wicked Good Mom Media. Meg learned so much about herself through this process of building businesses. She bought one domain, then another domain, then started in one town, then went to another town. And suddenly she realized that her work was consuming her, something that she started in order to have a better flexibility and lifestyle with her kids. It just ended up really taking over her life. And so what do you do when that happens? You position that company for a killer exit. And that's exactly what she did with some really smart moves. And I can't wait for you to listen to her. Here's Meg. I love having you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
First of all, thank you so much for the shout out about the book and everything, that it helped you in any way. If I played any small role in helping you, it fuels me with so much joy.
I've been thinking this whole morning, you're not supposed to meet your heroes. That's so cheesy, but really, I don't you're on a pedestal for me of what can be done and why we should do it. Yeah.
I love to hear it. And we also have so many crazy things in common.
We do.
We have crazy Boston geography.
Dog.
We've got dog.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a dog that looks exactly like Weymouth, Plymouth. Forget it. We have a lot. We have a lot in common from Boston. Exactly. Meg, this all started with Boston Moms.
It did.
Tell me about the start of that part of the business.
So it all started in 2015. I had my second son, and it was the early days of Instagram, and I was up in the middle of the night. And I stumbled upon some mom blog in Minnesota. It was actually called Twin Cities Mom's Blog.
Oh.
Yeah, and I don't know what the woman was writing about, but she was writing to her hyperlocal audience, and something struck me. I was not living in Minnesota at the time. And I said to my husband, wherever we end up, he was in the Navy at the time, wherever we end up next, I'm going to start a resource like this. And we actually ended up leaving the Navy and settling back at home in Boston, where a resource called Boston Mom's Blog already existed. So I reached out to the owner of that website. It was a collaborative resource written by moms for moms, and I asked if I could write for her. So I started writing as a writer, and then I asked her if I could help her monetize her platform. My experience was in sales.
She was probably thrilled.
Everybody likes to make
Who doesn't
money.
like to monetize?
Yeah. And I think she had been making some money, but it was more of a hobby business.
Okay.
And I thought there is a lot here. It was still in the early days of Facebook, and the reach was so wide. And so I joined her. I ended up being her director of sales for several years, and we did very well. And then when I felt like I had come to the end of that, I told her I wanted to buy the business from her. So I wanted to buy the name Boston Moms from her.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, I have a couple questions. How did you know what the value of that domain would be? How did you know what price to put on that?
So I had kind of a backhand knowledge because I was the person who was making the money. So I was the person selling all the ad space. So I really knew what it was worth. I also knew, though, that a lot of my expertise was what was selling the ads. So I did have like a little bit of a leg up there.
Yeah, because I would imagine if you're making that offer and then the offer, if she doesn't go with that offer, you're probably no longer going to continue to sell for her anyway.
Yeah. So I knew that. I was ready to walk away. And I think that in all of my life, and we'll talk about this, like there has been like a wake up kind of moment of like, I think I'm done doing this. So here's what I can do instead. And she was ready to sell at the time. Like she had been exploring for a little while. So I knew that the crack was there and that she wanted it to live on in a different way too. So I said, I'll buy it from you. And I had these big dreams to make it a real media resource. And then I thought, okay, I think this is more than Boston Moms. I think this is Wicked Good Mom Media. And I had this idea of it becoming a New England-based media company. And from there, I acquired about 90 domains, but really put my footsteps in Cape Cod for Cape Cod moms, Rhode Island for Rhode Island moms, and New Hampshire for New Hampshire moms.
Did you buy the domain and build it from scratch, or did you buy existing?
I bought existing hobby businesses.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you did that same exact strategy.
Same thing. So I had been in like the acquisition space on a really, really small level of like, I know what this is valued at.
Yeah.
Like I know, but I also know that I can turn a profit like that first month.
Because you were able to have a thesis based on what you did with Boston Moms.
Exactly. Yeah. It was like my guinea pig.
Right.
And what was really interesting to me is all moms need similar things, but moms in different geographical locations, even ones as close as like my home in Weymouth is equidistant to like Providence, Rhode Island, Cape Cod, and north of Boston.
Yep.
And the moms in those three spaces are completely different.
Totally different. Yes. A Weymouth mom is definitely different from a Boston mom
God.
and different from a Providence
It's
mom.
unbelievable.
As a New England aficionado who lived there for a long time, I could tell you this is 100%
And you
true.
wouldn't think that. But
Right.
like everything was different about each market. The way that we did events, the way that we did meetups, everything was different. So I learned really quickly that I couldn't exactly like copy paste. Even our team structures were different. Like Boston, people are much more, the beginnings of our team, people are like a little bit more like hands off. They didn't want like the kumbaya as much. Where like the Cape, they were like desperate for people
of course,
because
they want community.
Yeah, that's what they're there for. So it really was different. So that was a huge learning experience. But we found really quickly that we had like a stronghold in the media market for moms, and that we really were just scratching the surface of what media for moms could be.
So it was media, it was events.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the things about our business that I thought was always going to be really important, and I said I would stop the day that I couldn't do this any longer. I wanted it all to be free for moms. So I wanted them to be able to access our website and our resources and our heart content and whatever else for free. I wanted them to be able to come to most events for free. The world is just really heavy and nobody takes care of moms.
Yeah.
So that was really important to me. And that exists still. Like all of even post me, I think that the intention is to keep it all free.
That's great.
Yeah.
Strikes me, in listening to this, as you could have decided to go, I mean, even more hyperlocal, town by town by town, or nationally, go hyperlocal, but town by town by town. What led to the decision to sell? Everything
and nothing. It's like one of those things. So over the last couple of years, I've had health issues pop up and things in our family have happened, just like they do as like you're just an aging person. Around August of 2024, I decided like I needed to get my health in order, like my family, my kids are getting older, like I just need to kind of like line things up. And so I started to really take care of myself and everything, like the sky opened up and I was like, oh, things are really happy and I'm not so stressed anymore. And the only thing I didn't change was work and the amount that I was working, which was essentially 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I have always felt like there was so much opportunity with this business. It's one of the reasons why I started it, because I was hungry and I like to make a difference, but I also like to make money. And I realized in the fall of last year, fall of 2024, that I probably needed funding or an influx of cash to be able to take us to the next level.
Right. If you were going to keep buying these domains and building them up and building staff in each market who you wanted to pay, it takes
the staff, so like personnel, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, like so much money. And all of that, like when you're still small, like we looked
it's
like
a lot.
We looked like a really big business, but for me, like no more money was going in my pocket from like the first day I started, you know?
Right.
And so I had a business plan and I still think it's a great business plan, but I knew we needed VC funding and we needed the connections that funding could provide us, because we really were only like getting that like mid-level decision maker at advertisers.
Yeah.
So I was like, if we can get like, national advertisers or somebody to really take us seriously and we're getting these huge accounts, then we're going to be like golden. It'll be totally fine. And this summer, I took a little bit of time off for the first time ever.
Okay.
I called it the Summer of Mama, and I just worked from 9 a.m. or 8 to 1 p.m. every day. And then the rest of the day I was with my kids.
How did that shift work for you? Was it hard to implement or easy?
It would have been hard, but I like furloughed most of my team before that, because I was like, we don't need to be operating on all cylinders, and we can't be if I'm not there.
Right.
Because I hadn't set up, my team was completely capable. They're wonderful, but I was still like, I was like the cog in the machine.
Okay. So you're now prioritizing your health.
Yep.
And you're wanting to spend more time with your kids, and the business wasn't, as you grew, the business wasn't making you incrementally more money.
No.
And you're working around the clock.
Yeah.
So that's what signaled that time for that Summer of Mama to start.
Yes. I was like, I need to take a minute, because I'd actually had VC conversations and I had a deck.
Yep.
And I was like, before I go and like give somebody equity or take on more responsibility, I need to like reset.
Assess.
Yeah.
Assess.
Like, I need like a nervous system reset. I need to like see my kids.
Yep.
And I think I kind of had a realization too, when my daughter went to kindergarten last fall. I was like, I thought that would be easier. Like once I got through the babies and building something at home.
Oh, this is a common myth.
And then it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like maybe I was more absent, because I thought I would be able to work in their school hours or when, just like I thought I was going to be able to work when I had childcare.
Yep.
But it was just, I never stopped working.
Yeah.
So the Summer of Mama was I told the kids, like, if you give me every day, they're old enough to understand, like, I'm working until 1 o'clock, and then we'll go to the pool, or we'll do something as a family, or we'll go down to see grandma and grandpa, whatever. And honestly, it only took me like maybe 3 weeks for me to be like, what am I doing? Like, and I remember I like woke up one morning and I went to my husband, who's my like best friend in the entire world. You know how it is.
Yep.
And I said, I think I want to sell the business. And I had never said those words to him.
Yeah.
And my thought was that he was going to be like, whoa, like take a seat, like have some coffee. And he was just like, okay. Just like didn't even blink. Just like maybe he will never probably admit this to me, but maybe he'd been thinking about it for a while, but would never say that to me.
Right.
Yeah.
This is why who you choose as a partner is like the most important decision you make in business and in life.
1,000,000%. I could not have done any of it without him.
Yep.
Definitely couldn't have sold it.
Yeah.
And after I had his essential okay, that was the first time I spoke it out loud. And it's like I all of a sudden was like, this is what I have to do. Like it was like an internal shift for me. And I never, like from that day, I never looked back.
Okay, so you make this decision. How do you go about making it happen?
Great question. Well, I had read this really awesome book. So it's funny because I think like your body does things and you do things like without like real knowledge. So I say like I hadn't intended to sell, but I did. I don't even know how I came across. I bought your book on pre-order in like literally March. So there must have been something that I stumbled on. I don't know what it was, but I pre-ordered the book and then it came in May right before the Summer of Mama, and I read it right away. But I read it twice. When I first read it, I read it as like fact finding and like sort of seeing myself in some of the characters and sort of understanding a little bit more, because I really hadn't thought. I had been in the sales space only with the tiny acquisitions that I had made.
Right. Which were brilliant, by the way.
But they were just, they're
small.
Yeah.
They're like essentially acqui-hires. You're just bringing on,
Exactly.
Yes.
And it was not inconsequential, because it mattered to the people I purchased from and it mattered to me.
Yeah, but they were smaller acquisitions. Yep, totally.
But so I read the book the first time, and then I had like maybe it planted some seeds. And then once I said it out loud, like I think I want to sell, I read it again. And it's funny, I had like a different reaction to it the second time. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, Carrie didn't even know me. I think she wrote this about me.
Oh, well, that was the goal. Yeah. That's the goal for everyone to feel like they're my bestie and I'm writing it right for them.
Well, it really did work. And so I think even just having that, I was like, okay, I knew because I had a VC deck, so I had a leg up on a couple of things. I knew my general valuation. I had a VC deck. We had very strong books. We'd been in the green since we started. Like there were lots of things kind of coming. I had some interest from private equity anyway. I would get those emails from like, we're a family fund and we want to acquire blah, blah, blah all the time. And so I felt like it was on my side. And so then I started having like random conversations. Like I started just like mentioning it to people who I felt were like power players in our area. Like, this is what I'm thinking. You want to sign an NDA and I'll tell you more. And I had several different conversations like that. I had one pretty strong private equity. We didn't get a letter of intent, but I could have. And I felt yucky.
Yeah, it didn't feel right for you.
No, I did not
You
like
really
it.
wanted something that would continue. Well, especially where you're talking about like the need to pay moms and unpaid labor and that if they're maximizing for profit, that's the first thing they'll do.
I was like, this is not they're gonna kill this.
Yeah.
I had this idea, and you talk about this. I had this idea of who my buyer was, and she was a woman, and she was somebody who had been in this type of a space before.
Yeah.
Because she had to understand how friggin' hard it is, and what she's providing to her audience. She had to have cash.
Yes.
She had to have, the ability to be able to pay me and be able to project payment too, which I thought was really important. So that probably meant to me that she had a successful business already, that she had exited or was still maintaining in some sort of a way so that she had a way to pay her bills. Because one of the things that I worried about in this space is, advertising revenue, just like any agency model.
Yes.
It's highest highs and lowest lows. Yeah. And I just didn't want to get caught in the middle of that.
Yes.
I also didn't want a long-term buyout. I knew for me, or I didn't want to have to work for my buyout.
Yeah.
I knew that because I'd built this and it was like my child, I could not stay involved.
Yes.
Like I had to.
You didn't want to have to deal with any kind of earnout
where
you were having to work in the business.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And all these things, I really did like ask myself some really hard questions before I even had conversations with people.
Yeah.
So I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I had a list of, I'll call them, they're not demands, but things I wanted out of the deal too.
Yeah.
So that I made sure, if I could check all those boxes, then we were golden.
And were you able to check all the boxes?
I did. I checked all the boxes.
Every box.
Every single box.
Wow.
Yeah. So the way that it worked out was sort of serendipitous. I'd been having these conversations with, random influential people and the PE guy and a friend of mine who actually had worked for me before, who's out doing her own thing now with a partner. I don't know why we were in email communication about something else. I could look back and see what it was. And I said, that I'm going to have to wait. In full disclosure, I have a meeting with a potential buyer tomorrow or whenever it was. And she was like, hold on, do not pass go. Please wait. We want to have a conversation. We'll sign an NDA. Can we please talk before you move forward? And that was when I mentioned this to her. It was not I wasn't baiting her. I did not think that she was going to come at me with an offer. And so I said, okay, sure. Here's my NDA. We can have a conversation. But I still went into that conversation thinking I don't know if they know
what I'm actually worth.
Yeah.
And what.
I didn't. Yeah. I was nervous. I was like, I respect these people. I think they're very smart. I also know what this is worth.
Right.
So I need to be pretty upfront about that. They were not surprised when I gave them my number.
And you did a few things, I know, from you that you did really well. You made sure that any buyer was definitely able to pay you.
Yes. Yeah.
You made sure you checked proof of funds. You did all of that stuff.
Yeah. So that's my biggest thing. And I had said that out loud is, my family, they've waited for me for 6 years. We were, monetarily, everything was fine. I was making some money,
right?
But I was really putting blood, sweat, and tears and continuing to reinvest in the business, knowing that I was building an asset.
Yes.
Never, interestingly, with the idea of selling it. It was more just I felt like I used to actually explain, I felt like Boston Moms was my first vacation home.
Yep.
That's what I kept.
Yes. It was an investment and that,
And it had value. And as long as I made sure that it was valuable beyond my mortgage, that I could offload it or whatever, well, then we were safe. And so with that, I anybody who wanted to talk to me about money, I was like, my family, we're betting on this. They will only celebrate if I can get this dollar amount. And if you can't pay me, I will sue you.
This is so fascinating to me, the way you framed the vacation home, because I think the way we as women approach thinking about money and investments, the stories that we create to find a space of safety or say, okay, we're safe. We're safe. In reality, we are safe. You know what I mean?
Or
for
we're
most
not,
of
and
us.
it's
Or
fine.
you're not, and it's a whole other level.
Yeah.
You're safe enough, meaning are we alive? Are we breathing?
Yes.
Are we eating? We're safe. The bottom line of safety.
Yeah.
But it's just so interesting. I have rationalized my own businesses and investments and I'm investing my time so that I will have this one day big payout. But as long as I make this much, and it's like the rapid cycling.
Or meet this person.
Yes. Like whatever that, if I have this, then this.
I know
and
where it came from
is,
for me. I'm fully aware. Oh, I have I this is all me. My husband is not, I wouldn't say he's risk averse, but he would not start his own business.
Right.
Like he does really important work in his job, but he is not somebody who would risk the business piece where I'm like, throw spaghetti at the wall. Like I'm going to make this work.
Yep.
I'm the creative, excited one.
Yep.
But the entire time with the business, he was never worried about us being able to pay our bills. Like because we were always in the green, he was like, the taxes show like we're not at a loss. We're paying the man. Like we're doing just fine. My scarcity mindset, or that, I think that's sort of where I would land, is from childhood for sure. Like my dad was a small business owner and they worked their asses off. Like, and I watched them and I used to think like, hopefully the customers are happy because that's how we pay for my dance classes. And like, so it's like so ingrained in me that my worth is tied to like money, that I always wanted to be like, I'm taking this risk because it's going to pay off, because it's going to, I'm not making X dollars a year right now, but someday I will when I felt like I always had to justify that.
So how do you rewrite that story now?
Oh, I know. That's what I'm working on. It's my biggest thing. So I think some of it is like, it's a little woo-woo, but like reparenting myself. So to not live in that space. And I'm a high achieving type A person. And I have always equated my worth to what I can produce. Yeah. And I still think, so I think about like what's next and, will I go back to corporate or what will I do? And I still think I have a lot to give. I think what's interesting is that now for the first time in my entire life, I feel like I have a boundary around it.
Tell me about that.
Well, when you own your own business, even though you build it to be like a lifestyle business and around your life, it leaks into everything.
It does. That's why I think the term lifestyle business is so funny.
Like
lifestyle.
Owning.
What lifestyle?
Yeah.
Lifestyle.
I haven't taken a vacation.
Yeah.
Until the summer of Mama, I didn't take time off. And in retrospect, it's like I could have, but I really couldn't. Because like I'm the one who's doing the payroll. So like I have to make sure we can make payroll.
Yes.
Like I'm the one who is responsible if that deliverable doesn't get delivered. Like I have to do it. I'm the one who's showing up on the local news media. That's me. So I had a kind of like an awakening moment right before I sold. My kids all play hockey. And so we have 3 kids in hockey, which is a lot of hockey.
That's a lot of hockey, a lot of early mornings.
Yeah, which we love, actually.
That's great.
But Monday nights we have hockey we have hockey at 5, 6, and 7.
Woo!
So we get there at 4:20 and we're not done till 8:20.
Oh my gosh.
And my middle son, who is 10, I was kind of like ruminating over the calendar, being like, okay, I'll bring this bag and this person will eat this time, this whole thing. And he said to me in the beginning of September, I sold on September 10th. Okay, so this is the beginning of September. He said, well, Mommy, you could just bring your laptop and then you'll have those 3 hours to work. And I literally, it was like my stomach fell out my butt because I was like, I'm thinking about how to organize my family and he's
still thinking you're working.
During practice. Yeah. And I looked at him in the eye and I was like, I will never work at hockey practice ever again. Never again. Because for me, there will never be another job that I have to do during hockey practice.
That is a very moving story.
Like, because the man can't pay me enough to give up hockey practice. Like, especially.
And you can't pay yourself enough to do it.
And I wasn't.
You will not.
Yeah.
And no matter how successful you may be,
and you're
going to set that boundary for yourself because it's what's important to you.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's like I woke up to it and I thought, I worked today from 8 to 4. I worked. And probably before that, because I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I still, in years past, would still be working at practice. And when my kid looks up, I think I have flexible work, but he sees me on my laptop. And that it like rocked my world. And I sold we were already in the process, but when I signed the contract like a week later, I was like, never working at hockey practice again. That's it.
Never again.
Yeah.
You did one other thing that I really loved, which was you sold all of the domains and brands, right? You sold that. But if they sell it within a particular time, then you didn't want it to be resold right away, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I have a lot of pride in my IP. And I freely share. Like, I'm the kind of person that in networking, like, I want to help you. Like, I freely share with a lot of things. But this is something I was not willing to freely share. So one of my fears with whoever I would sell it to would be that they would be able to turn it around and make double what I sold it for really fast. And I felt like that would still be my work that they'd be making that money off of.
If it were that quick.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So there is a certain timeline that I wanted in place that if they sold within that timeline that I would make a significant percentage of their sale. And that was agreed upon. So I feel it protected me in a way that I was like, and I also felt like then I could kind of sit back and like whatever they changed, they could change. It was like another protection for my heart kind of, I think too.
Yeah, they could do whatever I think it sounds to me, like it was very important to you that if they were to grow your baby and change it over time and all that, it would be on their own like experience. They weren't going to make so much more money immediately off of your exact model as it is, because then it would feel like you could have done that and didn't.
Yeah. And I made a choice with the buyers that I sold to. I went small. Like I went to people I could trust.
Yeah.
I felt
versus
like
PE.
Yes,
definitely.
I felt like it was really a smart choice for the brand and for our consumers and for our advertising clients. I was like, oh, you're going to be well taken care of. I feel very good about this. I could have probably made 3 times more money if I had like nose to the grindstone and really fought.
Yep.
But then I was like, the end product would have been gross. I don't think I would have felt good.
You probably would have had to stay.
Yeah, and I didn't. Yeah, so there was a lot to that.
You would have still been working at hockey practice.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And you were still able to make great money.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's at what cost?
Exactly. And there are things that are not monetary too, I think, in sale. For me, so I have a small nonprofit that I run that's been like a hobby project for me, and like a part of my
Caroline's Closet?
Yes. Part of my like negotiation was that Boston moms will advertise for it for 3 years. So, because I need that oomph to kind of get me to the next level with that. And it's a Boston-based nonprofit.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's not, I don't make money on Caroline's Closet, but like that is really important to me.
It's meaningful.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that we don't always take the highest offer.
Yeah.
We take the offer that is the most significant,
Yeah.
meaning whether it is monetarily significant, emotionally significant, strategically significant. It's really the offer that is going to matter the most to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it helps me sleep at night. And I want them to do well. Like I tell everybody, my family and friends, I'm like, engage with their stuff. Like, please, I want them to do well. It matters to me. They care so much, and they're really going to try to keep this ship afloat and grow it. And I will always be proud of what I built.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so happy you took the trip down from Boston, or up from down from Boston to come be with me today. I couldn't be more grateful. And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
So as you go to your next chapter, whatever it may be, where should people find you and connect with you if they're totally inspired?
Oh, I love that. I have like a little community on Instagram.
Okay.
My handle is It's Meg Block. You can find me on LinkedIn, and Meghan at wickedgoodmom.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Meg.
Thank you.